Welcome Homeworthy. My name is Ruth McKeaney and we are here at Hillside Farm. You caught me in a moment resting because tonight we're doing something that's really fun. It's kind of a Friendsgiving before Thanksgiving where you get to have all your friends that don't get to come for Thanksgiving over for dinner. So I've been preparing all day and my dear friend Heather's on her way over so she can help me cook some really fabulous food. We're going to start out with a beef tenderloin. Then we're going to have a parmesan risotto and an arugula salad with butternut squash and asparagus, and we're gonna finish it with the best cherry cobbler and ice cream. So come join me. I'm gonna go cut some rosemary so we can add it to the table as we set it. And thanks for joining. I'm Ruth McKeaney, and this year I'm inviting Homeworthy to join my family for all of our annual highlights at Hillside Farm, our 305-year-old farmhouse steeped in history and love. After decades of flipping houses, my husband Bob and I settled here where we raised our 5 children. And this year you'll join us for holiday gatherings and the upcoming wedding of our daughter, happening right here at Hillside, where we welcome your company as we share in the simple pleasures of life at home. I'll offer tips from my book, Hungry for Home, to help infuse your own home with moments of joy, filling home-cooked meals with flavor for the whole family, and of course, decorating with amazing antique finds. So sit back and make yourself at home.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
All right, exciting. We only have 2.5 hours till everyone arrives. And I want to get started. Heather gets here in probably 15 minutes, and I'd like to have the creamy Parmesan risotto started and the filet, get those ready to go so that I can welcome her into the kitchen. So we've got the rosemary. That'll go onto the table later. It'll be really fun for you to see what I've done in the dining room. And what we've got here is a creamy Parmesan risotto. I think this recipe might be one of my kids' very favorites. They'll take it over potatoes anytime. It's got white wine, Parmesan. It's really fabulous. So here's where we start. Okay, and you can find it in the cookbook on page 323. Here's where we're gonna start. Now, I'm doubling the recipe of what's in the cookbook because we've got 10 people coming for dinner. So we're gonna start out we're gonna put 9 cups of, I use organic chicken stock. I'm going to put this in this big pot behind me. I need this chicken stock to simmer. So we're gonna get this going. In each one of these boxes is 4 cups. So I'm gonna do a couple of these boxes. And then I've gotta add 4 cups of arborio rice and get that cooking. The great thing about this recipe, it takes a long time to cook. But the really nice thing about this recipe is I can cook it in advance and just add some extra chicken stock right before I serve it to make it creamy again. All right, so here we go. To that, I'm going to add, again, I'm doubling it, so 4 cups of risotto or arborio rice. Got 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, I love to do this because when you're doing this with a steak, what's nice is there'll be leftovers, and there's always leftover filet, which you can slice up thinly and serve it again the next day. So here we go. I'm gonna mix this in so it's all wet. Cover it, and let's let this get going. In the meantime, what I have done is you wanna take fresh Parmesan. So I got this Parmesan block at Costco, and you use this planer and you plane all of the Parmesan so it's very thinly grated, and this will make the whole thing creamy. While this Parmesan risotto cooks, because it takes a little while, it needs to absorb all of that broth, I'm gonna get ready to do the beef tenderloin because that takes a little while. You want it to get to room temperature. And maybe when we're finished with that, we can come finish the Parmesan risotto. All right, here goes probably my favorite part of the meal. In fact, when my family talks about what their last meal would be if they had to be given one, A beef tenderloin would be mine. So what we have, we're going to start out with a 4 to 5 pound filet. I get mine at Costco. They're usually really nice and lean, and they're great. Take it out of its packaging, and then I take paper towels because you have to pat it dry. And the reason you pat it dry is because you're going to be putting butter all over it, and the butter won't stick to it if it's not dry. So we get this all patted dry. Now what we're going to do is we're going to be taking, I don't know, 4 or 5 tablespoons of butter, and we're going to massage that butter. Now look at here. Let me show you this piece of steak. One of these fillets, they usually have like this long tail. Most people will tie this up so that it cooks evenly. I'm going to say something that's going to send people through the roof, but I like my filet medium well to well done. So I don't mind the tip not being tied in, so it cooks a little bit more. And I just kind of tuck it underneath there. Okay, what I've done is I let some butter sit out overnight so that it's nice and soft. I'm going to take about 5 tablespoons. And see this? I'm going to start to smear this all over this filet. We are going to roast this filet at 500 degrees, and depending on how you want your filet cooked will depend on how long you keep it in. I mean, obviously, I don't mean to speak the obvious. All right. I mean, it is a beautiful piece of meat. I often, at the very end, when I pull it out of the oven, will pour melted butter on top. Kind of makes it taste a bit like it's in a steakhouse. Okay. What then goes on top of this is a tablespoon of kosher salt and a tablespoon and a half of ground coarse pepper. What I did in advance, because I don't like to massage one and then the other, it all kind of loses it. I mixed it in advance right here. So pour it over it. I'm going to start to rub it in so every spot gets it in there. Oops, see, the butter starts to move. You don't want it to do that. Roll this over. This is the part of the job I often get one of my daughters to do. They don't mind helping me out. All right. Massage that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave this sitting on the counter until it's time to cook, because it needs to come to room temperature so that when you put it in the oven, it cooks right up and it cooks evenly. So we'll leave this until it's time to put it in the oven. Okay, so we've been getting the filet ready, but meanwhile, this risotto has been cooking. It's been simmering, and when it reaches a point where it has absorbed all of its chicken stock, which is where we're at right now, we are going to add a 1.5 cups of dry white wine. So here we go. You do this all at the same time, just throw it all in the pot. 3 cups of grated Parmesan. And again, I used that planer. This is about 3 cups, and if we need more, we'll make more. And to that, we are going to add 6 tablespoons of butter, 4 teaspoons of kosher salt, 1. And again, this is a doubled recipe, so ordinarily it's not this big. All right, and 2 teaspoons of coarse ground pepper. And then we're going to add the final 2 cups of chicken stock. Oh my gosh, this is so creamy and rich when it's finished. It's incredible. And we're gonna let this simmer. And then it'll almost be done. Okay, it's time to make the cobbler, which I said is incredible. It's like having shortbread with a little bit of oatmeal crumbled all over this warm cherry with ice cream. So here we go. Wait, I hear Heather. So she's gonna come, she's gonna help me. Hey!
Hi!
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Good. Thank you for coming over to do all
Warm
this.
out. It feels
Okay, I'm dying. I'm taking off this scarf.
It's fall, but it doesn't feel
literally, it was fall this morning, and it's not fall anymore. So we're gonna do the cherry cobbler first.
like fall. Okay.
Do you remember?
I do.
You want to wash your hands?
I do. We had it when we were out in Montana.
So Heather and I had the privilege of going to this women's conference out in Montana, and they had this chef who prepared this cherry cobbler. And when I tell you, so there were 12 women there. When I tell you that we woke up the next morning and we raided the fridge and had it for breakfast.
Had it for breakfast.
So it's that good. So I'm going to put Heather in charge of explaining to you how she's going to do the crumble that's going to go on top, and then I'm going to be making the cherries that go, the filling that goes on the inside. Okay, so I'm going to put on an apron. Just, you know me, I don't wear aprons usually.
I know, but you've got a white
I'm going to do
shirt.
cherries. So I'm going to put this on. Oh my gosh, this is so good. Now, I will tell you when I have made this in the past, because what we did is we asked the chef if he would send us the recipe, and he did. He was so incredibly generous. So it has you actually making the topping in a Cuisinart, but I find it's just as easy to melt the butter and mix it all. So if you'll explain what you're going to do,
Sure.
and then real quick, what I'm doing is I'm taking 2 pounds of tart cherries. So I found this at the grocery store, 2 pounds of tart cherries, and I'm going to be putting it in this pan right here. And it was frozen, I've let it thaw. So all the natural juices are gonna come out. I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to add 1 cup of sugar and between 4 to 6 tablespoons of cornstarch. That's what's going to thicken it and make it a filling. So I'll let you talk.
I'm going to grab a utensil here so I can mix up everything. Let me grab this guy. So I'm going to take flour. We've got 3 cups of flour. We've got 3/4 cups of old-fashioned oats. And 2 cups of white granulated sugar. I'm going to stir this up first, and then I'm going to add our vanilla.
Okay, so Heather and I have known each other for almost 25 years. We met at a Bible study, community Bible study 25 years ago. And on that day, we found we had the same anniversary. We'd gone to the same place for our honeymoon. Our husbands had gone to the same college. I mean, there were all of these things where, you know, it's kind of where if you looked at the backside of a quilt, you would see the threads weaving. And it's not until you turn it around where you understand what's going on. So we knew we had to know each other. And I have 5 kids, she has 4, and they stair-step each other. So she has 3 boys and a daughter, and then I have the 4 girls and a son. So we've had fun changing Audrey over to my girls, and vice versa with Anders.
The only year we were pregnant together was when I had Britta and you had Audrey.
I had Audrey.
Yeah.
And so they both, actually what's kind of fun is Audrey is now at school in Virginia, and so is Britta, but they're at rival schools.
Virginia Tech.
And UVA, so it's a rivalry.
Yeah.
So one of these days, we're actually, the day we got married, UVA. And
Well, they always play each other the day after Thanksgiving.
Yes, and we got
Saturday
married,
Thanksgiving,
but it actually fell on the day we got married.
It did. Oh,
And
yeah.
So, yeah, we had to work our weddings around the game.
Because my husband, of course, had to watch the game that afternoon. So we had someone, this is so old, that we had to do it on a VHS tape.
Yeah. Oh,
Someone had to record it during the wedding, and then we had to go watch it after the wedding.
Yeah.
I know.
All right, so here we go. I've got, well, you've got this ready, and you're going to be doing that. Here we go. Here we've got the cherries. They're starting to kind of simmer. I'm going to add a cup of sugar. I might start adding a little less because I don't like it too sweet, because there's also going to be vanilla ice cream. Plus, you've got this fabulous shortbread that's going to go on top. So I might start by just adding maybe half a cup of the sugar, and then the 4 to 6 tablespoons.
Yeah.
Thank you. Could I use that
Yeah,
real quick?
you use it first, and then I'm going to use it for the
And
vanilla.
again, this is what's going to thicken it. 1, 2, 3. I am a really bad measurer. but I don't think it really matters. I'll add more if I need to add more. There you go.
All right, thanks.
Heather is much more, let me put it this way. If I needed a diaper, Heather had the diaper. If I needed wipes, she had the wipes. I am not organized. She is very organized. So it has worked out beautifully.
It's, we got to help each other out
Yes.
where we can help each other out.
All right.
And I'm putting in 1 tablespoon of vanilla into this as well.
I'm going to cover this because it's going to allow each of the cherries to actually burst and all of their liquid to come out. So I'm going to cover it. I've got it down on kind of like a medium low, and we're just going to let it cook for a little while. So Thanksgiving is not very far away. Are you doing a lot of people this year?
We are trying to figure that out. So I have the blessing of living in between both of my family members.
I love that you said blessing.
It is a blessing.
It is a blessing.
It's 100% blessing. And so we always try to figure that out. I have my brother's actually coming up from Nashville this year. He lives there with his family. He's a musician in Nashville. And so I'm hoping we'll spend some time with him. And, but we love Thanksgiving because it's all about food and football. And usually.
Do you cook usually everything?
I try to divide it up. So if I host, whoever comes to my house, I'll have them bring things. I think that's a good way to do it because especially if you have a lot of people. We both have big families. So we have a lot of people and everybody has their favorites. So we have to be careful to make sure, one year we went to my in-laws and nobody brought the buns. Nobody brought
that's like the
bread.
cardinal sin.
And my boys will never live that down. And so from now on, we always have way more bread than you'll ever need because we never want that to happen again.
Okay, there's somebody else walking through the door. You never know who's going to walk through the door.
Surprise guest.
At any point. Hello? That's okay.
It's your dad.
Who's there?
It's your dad.
It's my dad who will be joining us for Friendsgiving later. It's okay. Thanks for dropping Anders off. Love you. Okay, so Heather and I often think it's fun to throw these dinner parties and to kind of curate conversation and curate time with different friends. So we kind of sat down last week and thought through, well, who are we not getting to see this holiday?
Right.
Who are we not?
Yeah.
And then we wanted to change up the menu because I can only do so much turkey and ham, and between Christmas and Thanksgiving, we thought it would be fun to totally change it up.
Totally, and I think Friendsgiving is a chance to do some different things. Yeah, because
Right.
I know my family does love the traditional items that I only make once a year on Thanksgiving. So, but on this, we could change it up and do something different.
Now what I've done is I've preheated the oven at 325 because once we put this on the top, we're putting that right in the oven so that this bakes on top. When this was made for us, it was, do you think it was like a sheet?
It was a sheet pan. He did it on a large sheet pan.
Even larger than a normal cookie sheet pan.
It was huge. But he probably quadrupled the recipe.
Probably. Now, I don't think we're going to need all of that, but let's go ahead.
Yeah, you tell me how much you've usually used.
Go ahead and
do you
start
do it in drops or do you try to spread it evenly?
You're going to crumble it, like spreading it evenly.
Okay.
But bulking it in some places. But yeah.
Okay.
It's like having shortbread on top of this stuff. It's so good.
Got it.
And we'll cook that for about 30 minutes and see until all the cookie is nice and cooked on top. And then we'll serve that with vanilla ice cream. All right, the next thing we're going to make is you're going to teach me how to do that salad.
Oh, it's so easy.
I don't like making salads. True confessions, I just don't like the chopping work. Heather loves that part of cooking, so she always does the salads, and she's bringing a new salad for the fall for me to learn. I think one of the fun things about doing a Friendsgiving is everybody's participating. In fact, another friend of ours, Kristen's coming over in a little bit, and you two are going to put together a cheese board while I run and change because I feel disgusting. So tell us what you brought because I wanted something fall.
So my sister-in-law always does a butternut squash salad at Thanksgiving, but she usually does hers with feta, and I don't love feta with it. I like goat cheese. I like the creaminess of the goat cheese. To me, I don't know. It's my favorite. So what you do, I used to always cut up my butternut squash and almost chop off my finger
and then
doing
you
it.
Joined the rest of us who just go to the store and buy it.
And I will tell you, when it comes to Thanksgiving, sometimes those time savers are really worth it. And having this already cut up for you, and your stores now can do that for you, is safer.
I'm also going to say it's not just for times of Thanksgiving. I would much rather go buy
I
this.
love it. So
Okay. So how much do you need?
So this is a pound. So
Okay.
I mean, this is like would feed. Really, it's a normal family. If you need to do it for a larger amount of group, I would obviously double the amount.
When you say normal family, are you talking 3 kids?
I'm talking like a family of 6 to 8 with
Okay.
like a couple
That's
adults, a
probably
couple
not-
kids, and some grandparents, and you know.
Okay.
But
All right.
for those of us who are having 25 at
Okay.
ours, we're going to do a lot more than that. But I'll do it this size for today.
Okay, so I open this up, and do I grease this?
Yes, you
Yes.
absolutely
Okay.
need some olive oil on there for sure.
Olive oil. You have a little olive
I
oil.
do. I
Thank
brought
you.
up olive oil, so a
Thank
little bit
you.
on there. And then you're going to preheat your oven to 400.
Okay.
And I mean, honestly, this is easy. So we'll spread that on here.
Do you have to mix it all up in the olive oil?
I usually put a little more drizzle of olive oil.
Do you want to add the rest of those?
Yeah, I am on top. And then the other thing I do is I'm going to slice an onion, half of a red onion. For
Red
this
onions
size.
are my favorite onions.
And I think when you roast this along with the butternut squash, it just adds a layer
of flavor.
Yeah, a flavor of a little bit of sweetness with the caramelization of this. So
So I have to tell you, Heather did not like my knives. In fact, I don't have good knives. So for my birthday, she bought me.
I bought you a Cutco knife.
But what is
It's
it called?
It's called the Petite Santuco.
Santuco.
It's Santuco.
But
or
what I
Santuca.
find so funny is both our brothers 20 years
They
ago
did.
sold
They did. Yeah, my son did it too during college as a great way to make a little extra cash. And I happened to buy a few while he was
But
doing
here's
it.
what
of
I
course.
love. You just let me know that they will sharpen it.
They will. You can send it back in to Cutco, and they will sharpen it for free and mail it back to you.
That's for how long?
In the oven?
No.
Wait, you're talking about
How
long?
long will they do that for the rest
For,
of its
yes.
life?
Oh yeah, forever.
I love
okay,
that.
we need a little salt and pepper on that,
Okay.
and I'm also going to put
All right.
a little bit of rosemary.
Like
on
literally
top.
just drizzle the salt.
Yeah,
I don't like
that's
things
perfect.
too salty.
That's
you know me.
perfect. And then I usually put a little bit of rosemary. It's probably about a couple teaspoons, depending on again how much butternut squash you.
I
actually
love the
use.
color in this salad.
Oh, it's pretty. I know. And then later when we put it together with the white of the goat cheese, and then we'll put a couple other fun items that are going to go on top of it. Really is delish.
I'm
Okay,
guessing you
so-
mean sweetened dried blueberries and pumpkin
I
seeds.
do. So I do pumpkin seeds, and then most people are thinking they're going to use dried cranberries, but I do a little dried blueberry.
Thank you.
Yep. So that'll
And
smell
how long does
delicious.
this go in the
So it's
oven?
about 30 minutes in your oven at 400.
All right.
Yep.
It's climbing up there. It'll be at 400 before you know it.
Okay.
30 minutes. All right. We got it.
Yeah. So while that cooks, we can do a little dressing.
Salad dressing? All right.
So we're going to do probably about a quarter cup of olive oil. And I usually make my dressings in a bowl jar. It's
I
so
do too.
easy.
We drink out of ball jars. Am I using a quarter cup?
That is
It's a third.
So just go a
And
little
that's
less.
a half.
Go a little less. Just pour it in there, but just leave some of it in.
Okay. Right. All right.
you go.
There you go.
All right, and then we'll do 2 tablespoons of
I'm going to try to feed this back in.
apple cider vinegar.
That's kind of the base of all dressings, I feel.
It is. And then you can put a little honey in. You can do.
Yes.
Again, I don't measure the honey because it just sticks to the spoon.
Yeah.
So just give it a good squeeze, probably about a tablespoon's worth. And then a little bit of salt and pepper in there as well.
Okay. Salt and pepper back.
Yep.
A little pinch.
Yep. Because you can always adjust your seasonings later. And then,
I love what we're having for dinner.
I know. So, and then
Okay.
you just shake
Shake
it up.
it. And is that enough for everything?
It would be enough for the amount that we're doing.
Okay.
Again, if we're going to double it for a bigger crowd, double your dressing.
Double your dressing.
Yeah.
And we're going to be putting all the lettuce.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and make it, right? But just
Sure.
not have the dressing
Sure.
onto it yet.
Sure. So, yep. We can assemble. I like to do my salads on platters for big events, because especially when you're using things like butternut squash or beets or anything that are heavy, they all sink to the bottom of a bowl.
That is true.
But if you do it on a platter, then you can make it evenly distributed and it looks much prettier. So this is, I made at home. This is butternut squash and the onions that I already did at home, so we could do this together today. So yeah, when you use a platter for your salad, you can dress it up really as you want to, as you can see fit. Like you can see a spot that needs a little bit more purple, add it, as far, it's just better than I think a bowl.
It's so pretty.
It is pretty. So, all right, I'm gonna finish, put all this on here. And then I do pumpkin seeds and just grab a handful. And
I love
sprinkle.
I love to roast pumpkin seeds.
You
with
can
salt
roast.
and
You
butter.
can roast them. You can leave them raw. These are actually raw green pumpkin seeds.
Okay.
And I kind of like the color of the green.
So you can use your pumpkins that you already have pumpkins outside and roast your own pumpkin
You
seeds.
could.
So
Oh. Pretty. And then add a little bit of goat cheese on top. Just brightens it up. It's going to give it a really nice creamy texture. Pretty. Easy.
awesome.
Yeah, and then at the last minute, I mean, you could do this ahead of time.
That's what I'm
and
saying.
then
We can put this in the
dress
fridge and keep it cool.
Dress it for later when everybody's here. So,
Okay.
done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so what we have to do now is asparagus.
Okay.
All right. Okay, Heather, it's time for us to do the asparagus.
Great.
And I love what you were just explaining to me on how to know where to cut it.
Well, I always heard that you should do the bend method to determine where you want to cut it off, but that's kind
of a lot. So I would just do a couple inches from the bottom.
I usually do that, and then I give a little.
Okay.
So
what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 pounds of asparagus. I like thin asparagus as opposed to thick asparagus. And you're going to cut off all of the ends. We went ahead and we lined up a cookie sheet with tin foil, and we are going to put all of the asparagus and drizzle it with olive oil. We're then going to roast it. We have the oven preheating at 400 degrees. We're going to roast it for about 15 minutes, and when we get it out, we have all this shaved Parmesan, and we're going to squeeze lemon on top, and it's really, really good.
all right, I'm going to do a little drizzle on the
All right.
bottom. Just so we
I'll
can
let you
stick.
do this while
Okay.
I go
Okay.
prepare in
Great.
here. Okay, yeah, make sure you try to single layer it. Yes, I realize, don't say it, I didn't have a big enough pan because it's being used. So we're gonna put this in and roast it for 15 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so right now we're gonna head, everything's in the oven, everything's ready to go. But one of the tips that I have that Heather and I both have always done is we set the table and we make the centerpiece the night before. And the
Yes.
fun thing about this centerpiece, I actually had a friend help me, but we used everything in our gardens, and places like farmers markets had a few extra of the flowers. So it's just fun I'll show it to you when we go in there, but get creative with what's outside. Fall is the time to use all the things that are coloring in your yard and get everything set. So,
I know.
All right, let's
Yeah.
look in the dining room.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's
here's
beautiful.
the dining room. Isn't it fun?
gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. One of my favorite things, well, first of all, you're in my dining room, which is, I love a good dining room. I think it's sad when houses get rid of the dining room because there's something about your family eating at the table. And I actually heard a really fun story. I think his name is Bob Goff. He was interviewing me on his podcast, and all their company, when they come, they get under the table with a marker and they sign their names.
That's a cool idea.
Which I thought that was a really cool way of just cementing that this is a curated place for your family and your friends. So anyway, I love wallpaper, which is why there's wallpaper on the walls here. And when we moved into this house, this was a chandelier with candles, so it wasn't even electric. And then we went ahead and put gas logs in this huge fireplace. It's a big fireplace, so it heats this room up very fast. And on another time, when we can give another story, Heather's the one that actually found this property in this house and knew it was for us. So it's a really fun story by itself. But as far as this, so we made this yesterday because, some of these plants aren't going to last very long. So we made it last night. Bittersweet might be one of my very favorite things to put on
everywhere
a fall
right
table.
now.
It's everywhere.
You can go snip it on your fences.
I mean, literally, I'll be driving along
Yeah.
and I have shears in my car, and if I see something along the street, I jump out and cut it. So the other thing I did is I love texture. So I used straw placemats. And then I like to add a little dimension to your place setting for fall. Sometimes I like all white, but for fall, I don't know. I found these really fun at Terrain.
These are
these
pretty.
really fun. Aren't they beautiful? And then what is really fun is using different colored candles. So again, keeping that autumnal look and matching. I kind of tried to match the top plate with the candles. But my favorite, and these.
Well, I love how these match the flowers.
The flowers.
It pulls
and
out the
there's
purple.
bees on them. Aren't
really
they kind of fun?
Mm-hmm.
And I think you might have been with me. We were in Connecticut. Anyways, I found these glasses like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But one of the fun things that I'm going to have Heather help me do right now is actually the napkins. And these napkins were my grandfather's and my grandparents, and they gave them to me when I was married. And I want to show you what I've done. So I went and got this velvet ribbon. I cut some rosemary out of the garden, as well as this fun leaf, which I just think is really cool looking.
Those are grasses.
Grasses.
I see these all over.
All over. Again, go outside. But if you could make this final one, and we'll go ahead and set each one.
Yeah, that's
great. It just draws the color, everything.
Yeah, and a little bit of, I love the fresh rosemary. That actually is going to add a nice little
smell plus the
when
green.
you sit down. I know, it smells lovely.
Plus the green.
Cool. I love it. So do you want me to help assemble?
Yeah, can you assemble that?
Yep. All right, beautiful. Ruth, timer went off for the asparagus. So I'm going to grab it from the oven.
Thank you. You don't ever want to overdo asparagus,
I know.
or it's totally limp and gross.
Oh, these look good.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. All right, then you're going to take a lemon. Oh, these seeds. You can squeeze it through your hand.
You can, or you get it,
on top, so the seeds go in your hand.
It's a good call.
And then you take about 3/4 cup of shaved Parmesan. And that will melt on.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Smells really good.
Awesome. All right.
Perfect.
Do you mind? I'm going to run and
Yeah.
throw some clothes on. I think Kristen's coming
Sure.
probably 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw on a different sweater so that I look halfway decent. But we're going to put the cheese board here and the champagne glasses. And then by then, we will be putting in the steak and the cobbler will be ready.
All right,
If
I'll
you don't
clean
mind.
up.
Thank you. All right, so we're about 30 minutes away from everyone arriving. I'm starting to panic. I just sent Heather to change her clothes. Here we go. The great thing about this risotto is, sometimes it can thicken up, and all you have to do is add additional chicken stock. And if it isn't cheesy enough, just add a little more cheese all along the top. Oh, Kristen's here. Yeah.
I didn't think it was so warm outside.
I know, I'm dying. Actually, I just went and changed, but it is warm.
Wow.
So this is Kristen, my friend. Say
Yes,
hello.
hi.
Kristen is coming with her husband to Friendsgiving, and she's going to help us do the cheese board now. So what we'll do is we'll get this thing cleaned up, and then you can start, okay? In the last few years, we've become very good friends. She and her husband and family are one of those families that you wish you could have for Thanksgiving, but everyone has their own family and friends. So that's why they're here. And I asked her, I put her on the spot like last minute. I was like, you know what, can we just do a charcuterie, a cheese board last second? So you went to the Italian market.
Yeah.
So what did you get?
Yeah, so I am Italian by background, but I also lived in Belgium for 6 years. And I actually
know your cheeses.
I learned a lot about cheese and cheese boards, the way they do it the European way.
Okay, so
And
the drunken goat.
Yes, drunken goat. So this is actually one of my favorites. It's a goat cheese, but it's firmer and more like a Gouda almost.
Okay.
So
tell me, I'm interrupting you.
Go for it.
If you had to tell somebody who is a novice and isn't used to doing a cheese board,
Yep.
what do you always put on a cheese board and then build from?
Yeah. So always start with like a good soft, like a brie, camembert. I like to look for triple cream. That's like, if you see something that says triple cream, that's like number one.
Okay.
That's a fan favorite. Everybody loves it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what else do you look
And
for?
then you could, since, you know, everybody loves cheddar, you could do a cheddar. I actually didn't get a cheddar this time.
So then what's this orange cheese?
So this is a good, like firm, and it has little crunchies in it.
Oh,
it's a good Gouda.
Okay,
it's a
good
Gouda. So
my son loves Gouda.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you arrange them because
Okay.
you're going to show
Yep.
us the European way. I only know the Ruth way and the
Well,
Heather way. So.
I do think the Americans, we made it like, we Americanized it, and
Yes.
we put nuts, and we
Yes.
put all kinds of yummy
So I
things,
put
jams.
Jams, whatever.
Whatever it is.
What are your favorite
Yeah.
jams?
Well, I love fig jam. That's my favorite to put on
too.
a cheese board. There's all kinds, you know, if you go into any store that's a little bit more on the fancy side, they'll have any number of jams that you could put on there. So.
I also like, because I do love fig jam, I love to put whole figs. And I slice whole figs
Yes.
and I put those on here. Anytime you put dried fruit. But again, this is last minute, so we're throwing
Yes.
this together. Is this the triple cream?
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
Do you take the rind off or do you not?
I don't.
And how do you set it? Just like this? I'm going to let you set it.
Yeah.
This is your baby.
Now, this one is a little similar, but this one has like a run of truffles in it, and I just always love to include that on my cheese boards. And so that kind of has some similar, but it's got some soft and a little bit more firm in the center. That's called truffle tremor. You can almost find that anywhere. So.
Grapes. Where are you going to do your grapes? Because I'm going to go find, because I think you didn't bring crackers.
I forgot crackers.
But that's part of Friendsgiving because we all work together. So I'm going to go look for crackers. You arrange
Yep.
what you want to do.
Yeah, that sounds good.
This looks fabulous, Ruth.
They look good.
I know.
I love that.
Ruth,
Yeah.
you need to make sure you put on your Tip Tuesday how you do this the day before.
The day before.
But how do you find your tips?
Okay,
is it on
so-
your Hungry for Home website?
So on Instagram, on Hungry for Home, I have a Tip Tuesday where I give tips on, recipes, gardening,
Right.
family things, family traditions.
And it comes out
It
every
comes
Tuesday.
every Tuesday.
Okay.
I mean, there's other things throughout the week, including my daughter's wedding that's coming
Yes,
up.
yes.
But yeah, on Instagram.
Okay, I think I saw that go through my feed, so I'll have to click on it.
Yeah. Hello. How are you? Thank you for coming. Thanks for having me. How are you? Good to see you.
See you.
Hey, Dad.
Welcome.
Hi. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. How are you? Good. Thank you. So there's cheeses and wines in the kitchen. Lord, thank you so much. Thank you for this day. Thank you for friends. Thank you for the opportunity to celebrate each other. Bless this food to our bodies. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. So, plates, there's beef tenderloin, asparagus, risotto, a salad, and then we will have a cobbler and ice cream for dessert. Wow. But if you can sit anywhere in there, just grab a plate. you for coming, and thank you for your friendship. There you go.
Thank you. We love you guys.
Love you. Happy Thanksgiving early.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.